We tell ourselves, I'll be happy when I get that promotion. I'll feel at peace when I buy that house. I'll finally feel good about myself when I lose the weight, find the partner, or tick that one box I've been waiting on. This mindset feels harmless at first, almost motivational, but what it really does is trap you in a cycle of deferred living. You are constantly postponing joy, always setting a new condition, and teaching your nervous system that the present is never enough. The problem is, when the future finally arrives, it rarely looks the way you imagined. The promotion comes with stress, the house with responsibilities, the partner with their own complexities. Suddenly, you've borrowed against your own peace, and the repayment is a sense of emptiness and disappointment. So, how do you stop this pattern? The first step is to recognize how subtle it can be. Borrowing happiness doesn't always look like grand dreams or major milestones. It happens in small daily ways too. You might think, I'll enjoy tonight after I finish all this work, or I'll feel good about myself once I'm productive today. On the surface, this seems rational, but what it's doing is attaching your emotional state to a future condition that may or may not be fulfilled. And even if it is, the satisfaction will be fleeting, because your brain is already conditioned to push joy further away. This is why many people feel restless or unsatisfied even after achieving things they once longed for. They've trained themselves to keep borrowing instead of living in the now. The antidote is presence, but not the shallow version of presence that gets thrown around so often. True presence is not about romanticizing every small thing or forcing yourself to feel grateful. It's about building a deeper relationship with the moment as it is, without attaching its value to what it leads to. For instance, when you're having coffee in the morning, do you experience it fully? Or are you already thinking about the next meeting, the next responsibility, the next reward? When you're with someone you care about, do you hear their words? Or are you planning your response, imagining future scenarios, or secretly measuring the moment against what you hoped it would be? This chronic future orientation is rooted in fear. The fear that the present is not enough. The fear that if we don't keep projecting ahead, we will fall behind. But paradoxically, this is what creates the exhaustion so many of us feel. We are carrying the weight of days that haven't even happened yet. To break this, you need to practice what I call emotional decoupling, the ability to separate joy from conditions. For example, instead of saying, I'll be happy when I succeed at this, try to notice. I can experience moments of joy even as I'm striving. This doesn't mean you abandon ambition or stop planning. It means you no longer mortgage your happiness on a future outcome. Think of your happiness like a savings account. Every time you pause to notice a moment without judgment, every time you appreciate something small without demanding it be perfect, you're making a deposit. Over time, this creates emotional wealth that cushions you against disappointments. But every time you delay joy, every time you tell yourself you'll allow happiness only when X happens, you're borrowing, taking a loan against your own peace, and leaving yourself emotionally bankrupt when reality inevitably deviates from your expectations. One powerful way to shift is by learning to recognize micro moments of sufficiency. Ask yourself throughout the day, what, in this exact moment, is enough? It could be the fact that your body is breathing without effort. It could be the warmth of sunlight on your skin, or the fact that someone thought of you and sent a message. When you learn to anchor in sufficiency, you stop waiting for the future to deliver joy and start noticing that joy was available all along. Another step is to challenge the mental scripts you live by. Many of us were taught that life's value is in the big milestones: graduation, marriage, success, retirement. But what if those are only markers and not the real fabric of life? The real wealth of living is in the ordinary, the conversations, the mistakes, the laughter, even the disappointments that teach us resilience. When you borrow happiness from the future, you miss the wealth of what's happening in your hands today. There's also a psychological truth worth holding on to. Anticipation and memory often bring more happiness than the actual event. Think of a holiday you once planned. The anticipation filled you with excitement, imagining what it would feel like. The memory afterward became a cherished story. But the trip itself probably had inconveniences, fatigue, or imperfections. This shows us that joy isn't about flawless moments in the future. It's about how we hold experiences in our mind. So, why not learn to cultivate that same richness in the ordinary present, instead of endlessly pushing joy forward? For some, this idea feels threatening, because they fear that if they stop tying happiness to the future, they'll lose their drive. But the opposite is true. When you are no longer desperate for the future to make you whole, you show up to your goals with more clarity and less pressure. You pursue dreams because they matter, not because they are the ransom you pay for happiness. And ironically, you perform better because you are not weighed down by the anxiety of needing every outcome to deliver joy. At its heart, the habit of borrowing happiness from the future is a habit of mistrust. Mistrust in yourself, in the present, in the unfolding of life. To heal it, you must practice trust again. Trust that this moment has value. Trust that you can handle tomorrow when it comes. Trust that joy is not a scarce resource that only exists at the finish line. Begin by catching yourself each time you hear the phrase, "I'll be happy when..." Replace it with, "I can be happy while..." This simple reframe loosens the grip of future dependence and opens the door to experiencing happiness as a companion, not a prize. Life isn't about postponing happiness until you've earned it. It's about learning to let happiness flow through you, even as you strive, even as you struggle. The future will always be uncertain. The present is the only place joy can actually be lived. And when you stop borrowing from tomorrow, you discover the quiet abundance that was here all along, waiting to be noticed, waiting to be lived. If you have reached here, do subscribe. Let's build a community so that we have each other.